news that's short, sharp and shrewd.
Are you talking about the podcast or me?
Both.
Backhanded compliment.
This is Up Late with Ben Harvey. Brajkovich is on the move.
Maybe. The person that owns the house the bikie is renting is selling the property. Days after being kicked out of his own gang, the former sergeant-at-arms at the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club finds out someone is selling his crib. Tough week. It's a 4x3 on 306 square metres on Sedgeland Way, Ascot. The home is described as a sublime sanctuary. My seller has just bought another home, so it's time to sell, says real estate agent Kim Finlay. An oath it's time to sell, Kim. The tenant has made enemies with the world's biggest bikie gang.
Shit just got real.
The advertising means we got to have a look inside a bikie kingpin's house. And it's not what you'd think. Check the kitchen. Smeg toaster, Smeg blender, Smeg coffee percolator. WA's most ferocious looking bikie has a thermomix. He's a softie. He's got happy snaps with a missus on the wall. There's a cheese board or cutting board with today, tomorrow and forever on it. Next to a ton of vodka. Calming seaside artwork. A sturdy workbench.
Oh, behave.
A double shower for when you want company when you're sudsing up.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
The agent's notes say the main bathroom has a large deep bathtub, perfect after a hard day's work. There's a meditation nook to take your mind off things. Theatre room to enjoy your favourite TV shows, and of course a home gym to ensure you are adequately shredded, complete with a photo montage of your career as a Muay Thai boxer. The secure gated entry will ensure no unwelcome visitors, as will the alarm system, CCTV, electric roller shutters and security grill doors.
That's a lot of security.
Well, whoever buys this thing is going to need it. This is the same Ascot home that was sprayed with bullets in a drive-by shooting. That happened last March, a few months after Dayne had this tiff with Nick Martin. If the new landlord wants to move in, then Dayne's got to get a new house. He's got his postcode tattooed on his face, which means he's limited to buying in Ascot, Belmont or Redcliffe.
He could change it to 6704.
What's that?
Well, a little spot in the Netherlands.
That's perfect. The Dutch court banned the Hells Angels. He'll be able to get a clean start, and if it doesn't work out, he can come home pretty easily because in a few days' time, none of us have to quarantine.
Well, not all of us.
The Premier was due to travel to New South Wales to give evidence in person at his defamation trial with Clive Palmer. That was going to happen from February 26 to Feb 28. Now, to avoid any perception that he opened the border on March 3 so he could avoid quarantine, he said he'd isolate for 7 days anyway.
It is a coincidence. I'll be in a hotel room, working from a hotel room, doing a full 7 days, and just so there can be no argument that somehow, by anyone, that somehow this was put in place to benefit myself.
The defo trial has now been pushed back to March 7, after the borders open. But he's still going to quarantine in a hotel by himself for 7 days. Mark McGowan would prefer to stay in a crappy hotel in the city with no one else than go to Rockingham.
Must badly need a holiday.
He's paranoid about being accused of being self-serving.
Unlike Clive Palmer.
He was a no-show at the press club today. The man who has been chucking rocks at medicos and politicians over the pandemic response is now ill with COVID-like symptoms. Let's see how much faith he really does have in hydroxychloroquine now. Palmer was meant to front the press club to outline United Australia's economic policies. We know they don't like debt, but we don't know what they're going to actually do about it. This speech was going to hopefully fill in some blanks and be an important moment for Clive personally because he has spent a bucket load of money promoting his party on TV.
The United Australia Party has got the policies.
Tear down this wall. Freedom forever. United Australia Party.
In print and pretty much anywhere you can place an ad. The Coalition and Labor, between them, have spent a bit over $500,000 on election ads. United Australia has spent $31 million. He's hoping to avoid a repeat of 2019 when $89 million on ads didn't win him one seat.
Massive. Reckons he doesn't need the vaccine because he says he's in pretty good shape.
He's 67 years old and he spent most of his life in a state of stupendous obesity. Having said that, Omicron seems to be more man flu than Spanish flu, so it could be okay. That's good news because it means the elderly and infirm won't be dying in plague proportions as we had dreaded, but bad news because moronic anti-vaxxers
who have gathered here, 40 supporters of the restaurant,
will be free to contaminate the gene pool for at least one more generation.
most of them unmasked, which in itself is a breach of the rules.
You know you've jumped the shark when Jeff Parry is the calm and restrained one in the conversation.
Well, he's going to a place almost as dangerous as an anti-vax rally.
I don't know. So he's put his hand up to go to Ukraine. He's packing the Kevlar again to see what's going on firsthand and report back to us on
7 News.
Seven's Rottweiler heads off just as Putin has put boots on the ground in parts of Ukraine. He says they're there as peacekeepers. He's got these guys. We have this guy.
Take me to the April sun in Cuba.
ScoMo has threatened economic sanctions if Russia launches a full-scale invasion, which is no skin off anyone's nose really, because according to the Australian government, Russia barely makes our top 50 trading partners. The same website lists something called inulin as one of our major exports to Moscow.
What is inulin?
It's dietary fibre.
I'm a little plugged up.
One of Russia's major exports to us is wood manufacturing products.
So it's a bit irrelevant.
It's as irrelevant as the West Australian Liberal Party. Unlike Clive Palmer, the Libs need to fundraise money for the federal election that's coming up. The best idea they came up with to fill the war chest of Hasluck MP Ken Wyatt was an energy policy debate at Caversham's Funk Cider. Between Zach Kirkup, the bloke whose disastrous green energy plan was credited with helping Labor to a landslide win last year, and Sherry Sufi, who is the Liberal Party's Policy Committee chairman but is also known as the guy who resigned as the Liberal candidate for Fremantle after video emerged of him impersonating his one-time boss, Michael Sutherland, by saying, "When I was a freshman in college, I every hot in the University of Johannesburg. I shoved the old member up her flute."
Robert Menzies would be so proud.
The man who is framing modern progressive Liberal policy has criticised the apology to the stolen generations, believes same-sex marriage could lead to polygamy, and objects to constitutional recognition of Indigenous Australians.
You're hired.
I'm Ben Harvey. If you'd like to watch Up Late with me, Ben Harvey, search for The West Australian on YouTube.